Hello everyone, what's up? After a long time I am making a video. So I have decided to create a series on a complete app. So we're gonna create a COVID-19 app which will show us a result of COVID-19. Let me show you the final app. This is our app. This is the app we're gonna create. It will show us coronavirus summary till the current date, and it will have another tab where it will give us a list of the countries, various countries, and their condition. We can see their condition. And also one more thing is that we can search a country here, just like that. So this is the app we're gonna create, and most importantly I am going to follow a pattern here, and the pattern is my favorite one, which is Flutter BLoC pattern. So we're gonna create this app following the BLoC pattern. So let's get started. Now I have an empty project. It has absolutely nothing, just a material app widget inside and nothing else. So let's create the app. First of all, let's create the project structure. We have a lib folder here, and I'm going to create some other folders. One, of course, a data folder. Another one is UI folder, where we're gonna put our UI data. And then another one could be a resource folder. I like this folder. We can put our app resources like images, strings, and others in this resource directory. And the last one for now, and that is blocks folder. We're gonna create our blocks here. So first start from the data folder, and of course I'm going to create this app using an API. I'll put the link in the description. Also the source code of this app will be in the description text. So let's create the model classes. Okay, so now we have models folder inside the data folder, and here we're gonna put our models classes. Now let me show you the API endpoints. Here is a I'm using this advanced REST client to see the response, and this is one endpoint. Here we are getting the summary of the coronavirus condition, total summary till date. This is one endpoint, and another endpoint is this one, which is going to return us a list of countries affected by the coronavirus. So this is another endpoint, and we are getting a list of countries here. So now we need to create the model classes for this, and I already have created it. I'm using a tool for creating the model classes, and see, this is the corona summary model class. There is simple from JSON and to JSON method, and some other fields. And then another one is this corona country, an empty test corona country, and similar here to function to constructor from JSON and to JSON function. And then this corona country list provides us a list of countries. So these are two model classes, and I am using a tool. I'll put the link of that tool in the description, which will just convert the JSON responses into plain Dart objects. So that's all about the model classes. And then we need another thing, that is the data source. So let's create another folder. I will explain about this data source folder. Here we will put our data source. Let's create a file here which is, oops, I have done something wrong. I have created this folder inside the models folder, so I have to refactor it. Okay, now create a file here which is corona data source. Corona data source dart. Now here we're gonna create some functions which will return us the data of from the API. So let's create those functions. First of all, let's create a class here, corona data source, and then think about the scenario. We have two endpoints, so for now we're gonna have two functions, one for getting the summary and then another one for getting the list of the countries. So let's create the first function which will return us the summary, and the return type will be a future, and the future of corona summary. Get corona summary. This is going to be an async function, and then let's have the response, but before that we can put the URL in a file. I have created a resource folder here, and then let's create another file, another folder for the strings, and inside we can create another file, app strings, and here let's put the URL. So create a class app string and then put the URL here. And then another one for getting the countries. So these are the URL endpoint. Now come to this function and let's get a response from the URL. So for that I must have to await, because we're gonna use a future function. So for that I'm going to use the HTTP library of, I have missed something, I have not shown you the PubSpec YAML file. This is the PubSpec YAML file. We are using this HTTP package and of course the Flutter BLoC package and equatable package. These are optional, but HTTP, Flutter BLoC and equatable, these are the packages that I am using. So HTTP for converting the for getting the response from the URL. So let's import that HTTP first. http.dart as HTTP. Okay, now we're gonna use this HTTP package for getting the response from the URL. So http.get and then put the URL. appstring dot corona summary URL. Okay, and then let's check whether the response is successful or not. So for that we can check the status code of the response dot status code is equal to 200. That means our response is okay, and I am not handling the errors in the most efficient way, just throwing an exception for simplicity. So if the response is not okay, then we're gonna throw an exception here. Okay, of course we could handle this in a more efficient way. We could show more specific message, but keep it simple for now. And then if the response is okay, we have to decode the response. So for that we're gonna use this JSON dot decode the response dot body. Okay, and then actually we are getting the response in the JSON format here, as we have decoded the response in here. And then our task is to get the JSON response in our way, which is the model class. So as we have created this corona summary, we need to convert this JSON into the structure of this corona summary. So for that there is a constructor there, named constructor corona summary dot from JSON. It takes a JSON and then converts that JSON. So let's use that constructor. So corona summary is equal corona summary dot from JSON. So we can pass the JSON here. That's all, and finally you can return the summary simply from here. That's all about getting the summary response. And then let's create the other function, which is getting the list of countries. So of course the return type is future, and then we are expecting a list of country, and the country model was corona country. Yeah, corona country, and then get corona countries. It's an async function because we're gonna use some future function here. And similarly, first get the response using the HTTP package, http.get, and pass the URL corona countries, and then check the response if it is successful or not. So response dot status status code. What's wrong here? I'll check it what actually wrong here. So if the response is not okay, that means if the response dot status code is not 200, then we're gonna throw an exception. Something wrong. Oh, I have only used the await here. We need to await here because if you see here, it is returning a future object. So for that we have to await here. Okay, and then just like before, get the response in a JSON format. For that we have JSON.decode, and then pass the response dot body here, and then convert that response in our appropriate model. So for that we have this we are actually expecting a list of corona country, so it's our task to convert the JSON in our type. So countries and corona country list, dot from JSON, and pass the JSON here, which is data, and then countries. Okay, now simply return the countries. That's all about getting the response from the URL. And here we are getting the summary response, and here we are getting the list of the countries. So that's all about the data source. And then in the next video I will create the repository, and the task of the repository is just like a bridge between the data source and the blocks. So that's all for now. Have a good day. I'll put the link of the converter, the JSON converter, in the link in the description text. Also the source code will be available in the description text. Have a good day.